One of Srila Guru Maharaj's themes is form versus substance, quality versus quantity. So there are general descriptions of coming in connection with Krishna consciousness, and then there are the specifics of that connection. So sometimes Srila Guru Maharaj compares it to quality of seed. Because if we say, Bhakti Lata Bij, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij, that fortunate souls wandering the length and breadth of the Brahmanda, means the world of misconception and all its variegatedness, from the, Indra, the king of heaven, to the Indragopa germ on a bacterial level. Right? All the possibilities. A fortunate soul gets some connection with divinity, with Krishna, through his agent, Guru. Right? But as Srila Guru Maharaj says, when he talked about Guru, he said 3 types of Guru we may conceive. Right? 2 feet in the spiritual world, extending 1 foot here, taking from here to there. Another one, 2 feet here, extending 1 foot there, newly connected there. In that sense, taking from here to there. We can understand how both are perfectly qualified and capable to do that. Then he said a 3rd category, 2 feet in the mud. He said, with his eyes fixed on Vaikuntha, saying, let us go there. Right. He mentions in the Hari Bhakti Vilas about seed, quality of seed. We're saying Bhakti Lata Bij, means the seed conception, seed Krishna conception. As Guru Maharaj included in Srila Gurudev's Pranam mantra, Krishna Prema Bija Pradhan, giving the seed of affection, love and affection for Krishna. But then there is quality and gradation everywhere, quality of seed. So Guru Maharaj is quoting Hari Bhakti Vilas saying, if superior quality of seed is available, no inferior seed should be planted. That's what consideration. When he was told someone who had been apparently in connection with Krishna consciousness for many years resumed their position in the mundane world, even in the position of an atheist, he said, if the quality of seed is very high and it was planted very deeply, that's not possible. Or we'll take it, at least it will reassert. There's the question, dormancy, suspended animation. Right? Many things to consider. As we consider many things in this world, like cancer, this example can work in both directions. The doctors, they say, we believe we've removed it all. Then they find out sometime later, oh no, it's reasserted itself. Something was still there and it's such a powerful thing, it's reasserting itself again. Recidivism. That's in a negative sense. It can also be understood in a positive sense. If the seed, the quality of seed is very high, deep, profound connection with reality, then even if circumstantially it enters a suppressed position, or to the extent of by what is normally observable, it cannot be seen, it's no longer visible, still it may reassert itself in time. Krishna Bhakti Nitya Siddha Sadhya Kabunoi. So, Sravanadi Shuddha Chite Koroye Udoy. So these activities, hearing, particularly hearing from an agent of reality, awakens Krishna Bhakti in the heart. Means it's there, in a sense, in a dormant position, awakened by superior association. Bhaktya sanjataya bhaktya. So, in the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 5th chapter of the 1st canto, Narada comes to the ashram of Vedavyas, who we're told is in a despondent mood. Right? The great Veda Vyas, Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas, Veda Vyas, who gave the Vedas, compiled Puranas, did so many things, Mahabharata, including Bhagavad Gita, but he's feeling despondent. Right? And Narada addresses that despondency, and where he instructs him, these 10 slokas are taken to be the seeds of Krishna conception as expressed in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's the Srimad Bhagavatam in 10 slokas. Interestingly, I found it interesting that after 1, 2, 3 slokas, he's dealing with this very issue. Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam harer bhajan apato patetato apakva apato patetato yadi. Bhajan apakva. Like we know, those who've been to India, when you want to get ripe fruit, you say, pakka, pakke dena, give me ripe ones. Is it pakka? Is it like of the good quality? Is it ripe? Here it says, bhajan apakva. What happens? Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam harer. Someone in this world, they give up their swadharma, their apparent swadharma, swadharma nidanam sreya paro dharma bhavaha, and they try to move in the direction of Krishna conception, reality. Right? Move out of the world of misconception into the world of proper conception. Their heart leaps up and they want to run in that direction. And he says, but what happens if bhajan apakva, their bhajan doesn't reach the mature stage, the fruit-bearing mature stage? What happens to that person? So, first of all, it's noteworthy that Narada is addressing this from the very beginning, because it has, it's not arbitrary. It must be there because it's forming the basis by which he's going to tell Vyas why you're feeling the way you are. Because you're telling people, again, inadvertently, it's not your intention, but through the general practice of religion, regulating your life according to what's generally understood as religion, people will make very little progress and they'll remain bound within the mundane world. And when you ask them why they're doing this, they're going to say, because Veda Vyas told me to. You will be the blame. They'll all say, Veda Vyas, are you a greater authority than Veda Vyas? So this is what Veda Vyas has told us. That's why Narada says, so Veda Vyas, you have to correct this. And what I'm telling you now is rather than follow your slow, step-by-step, gradual, it'll take forever to get out of the material world, and most people won't. They're going to resurface creation after creation after creation. It would be better if they just go for it and run to Krishna conception. As soon as the heart leaps up and responds to that, even if they don't make it, they'll get more. In that period, that brief period where they tried, they'll gain more in that period than they will millions of years and lifetimes of following religion. That's why Krishna says, Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam braja. when he says give up everything, he uses the word dharma. So one thing, and this deals with what we were talking about the other day when people say, well, what about other religions? Well, if you ask Krishna, he's saying give it all up and just pursue Krishna consciousness. That's his opinion. And, he should know. Right? It's Krishna's opinion. Give up all other things. Raghunath Das Goswami, the Prayojan Tattva Acharya, says, if you're too attentive to Vidhi Marg, you'll fall down to Vaikuntha. Those are the Acharyas in our line, what they're telling. Guru said, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, we say, Grihe Thako, Bane Thako, Sadahari Bole Thako. So, but Saraswati Thakur is saying, jump, take the risk. What they call a leap of faith, a leap into the unknown. Goptritle Bharana, Krishna will protect me, will catch me, will save me, maintain me. Take the risk, no gain. He said, so Saraswati Thakur is a revolutionary one. Give up everything, right, and run to Krishna conception. And you say, well, so many people have done that, and then they went back. Yeah, and in that brief time, whether it was a year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it was, they gained more in that brief time than they will in lifetimes, hundreds of lifetimes of other types of culture and pursuit. That's the opinion of Narada. That's what he tells Vedavyas. He's saying, so now you've got to tell people to run to Krishna, to just as the Braja Gopi, it says, Sarvadhamam Praditaja, Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. Invert it, Braja Sharanam. What do? They're pulling babies off their breasts. They're letting things burn in the oven. They're throwing their husbands out of the way and running to Krishna. That's what they do. And they're the leaders of anyone who's seriously aspiring in the Krishna consciousness movement. We were just in India at the New Calcutta Airport, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose International. And I don't know where the Netaji statue is right now, but it used to be that when you cleared customs, there was a statue of Netaji. They just moved it to another place, probably. But he is this famous freedom fighter, Bengali freedom fighter. And there's a plaque underneath him, and that Gurudev said, Guru Maharaj would quote sometimes, and it says, "Give me your blood and I'll give you freedom." That was his slogan. Give me your blood and I'll give you freedom. So Guru Maharaj will say, if these are the requirements for things within this world, so for the ultimate thing, in the position in the ultimate reality, in Krishna consciousness, will less be required or more? So he introduced the concept of self-dissipation. Because when you make sandalwood pulp, you have a grinding stone, a sandalwood stick, you pour rose water on the stone, take the sandalwood stick, and start rubbing it into the stone. And what happens is gradually the sandalwood stick is dissipating. Right? That position is finished. But what's happening is this pulp, this divinely fragrant substance is being generated as a consequence of the self-dissipation. That's what Krishna consciousness is meant to be. That we engage ourselves, all of our energy and serving capacity, right, going against the current of exploitation, and a dedicating current. And through self-dissipation, we're gradually converted into a divine position. So the karmic generating form vanishes, Muktir Hidvanyata Rupam Swarupena Vivasiti. And the golden serving self begins to express and manifest itself. But, we'll say, when? Kabe habe bolo seedin amar. Right? Shraddha, sarusanga, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti, nishta, ruchi, ashakti, bhav. Then prem. And what precedes that? Agyata sukriti, sukriti. Agyata sukriti means an unknowing connection with the nirguna plane. As Guru Maharaj told, when a man is lying unconscious, and we see in the modern world, the paramedics come and they inject him with something to bring him to consciousness. And they'll say, "Can you hear me? If you can hear me, move your finger or move your arm. Give some indication you can hear me." Then when they do that, then now they're gyata, awakened. They can begin to cooperate for their own betterment. Right? So then, gyata sukriti, when we were at the birthplace of Srila Saraswati Thakur at Srila Madhava Maharaj's mat, and we started to praise Srila Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Guru Maharaj Gurudev Prabhupada Swami Maharaj. But it was very astonishing that sitting in front of me in the class, this is in the Nat Mandir, in the temple room. Right? There's some brahmacharis and maharajas from their mat, our group, Avadut Maharaj is there, so many. But sitting in front of me is a bull. And he's actually like listening and looking at me. And there's a bull sitting like 2 meters away from me. And then he makes some kind of like ecstatic movement and faces, and then gets up at a certain point and then walks out. I don't think I said anything offensive, but at least he liked the first part.
He was there before us.
Yes, he was there before us and he's still there and we're here. That is our situation. And so Madhvacharya had a bull carry all of his books. And as he was approaching old age and getting ready to die, they were saying, "Oh, Madhvacharya, who will write the commentaries on all these works you've created?" He said, "The bull. The bull will do that." They're thinking, Maharaj is telling something no one can understand. Then he left the world. In the next life, there was one, what was it? Yes. Jaya Tirtha, or one of the Tirthas. When he would go to drink water from the river, most people would take a pot and drink water like this. He would lap it like a bull. And they went, "It's him." Gyata Sukriti leads to it. Shraddha. Shraddha Shabde Vishvasa Kohe Sudrida Nischoy. What is Shraddha? Minimally, you hear about Krishna consciousness and think, it's possible. I can't understand everything they're saying, but there's something there that sounds possible. That affirmative affirmation, just a positive heart expression toward what has been heard. Shraddha, and belief, a more cultured way that if I just pursue this, right? Yasmin vigyate gyatam evam vigyatam bhavati. Yasmin sarvamidam prapte, etc. Inquire about that one thing, knowing which everything is known. Try for that one thing, having obtained, everything is got. Yam labdva chapram labham manyate narikam tataha, in the Samadhi chapter in Bhagavad Gita. What is it really? When you're in connection with this, see, it's consistent to Kaviraj Goswami's Shraddha. explanation. Coming in connection with this, you think you've got everything. Rukmini, again in the Bhagavatam, Rupam Disham Dushimitam Akilarta Labham. Now I think I've got everything. It's a consistent thread throughout. That's faith, belief. Yes, Goptritle Bharan. I'll just give myself to Krishna. He'll protect me, maintain me. Have to have some belief in that possibility. Shraddha. Sadhu Sangha leads one to the association of devotees proper, and then the most superior devotee to put ourselves under their guidance, bhajana, and adopt their practices. Anartha nivritti, then misconception is gradually being converted into proper conception, and unwanted, misbehavior is being converted into proper behavior. Vaishnava sadachar, a satsanga tyage Vaishnava achar. What's the first principle, or no, the Vaishnavism? To give up bad association. Who is bad association? Anyone who's not seriously pursuing Krishna consciousness. That's how it should be understood. Doesn't say that the, people who are bad association aren't nice folks. It's not saying like that. But they're not seriously pursuing Krishna consciousness. Krishnanushilanam, Krishnanushilanam Sangha. It's for those who are serious about pursuing Krishna consciousness. Anartha nivritti. Nishta. Then faith can become deeply rooted as opposed to a superficial embrace, spiritual tourism. Nishta. Like when a plant takes root, we're talking about seed, follow that example. You know, when you have a little plant, what do they call the little, when you put all the little plants in a special room? It's called a nursery in English. Same thing, like where you put babies, is what they use for plants. Because they know those little baby plants, they can't survive in the environment. That's why you need spiritual association and be surrounded by devotees. Pull little baby Bhakti Lata Bij, Bhakti Lata, out of the association of devotees and put them in an environment surrounded by non-devotees, they will not survive. Though their Krishna conception will go into dormancy. Sadhu Sangha Satovare. We need to surround ourselves with good association. And that means, like, when you're climbing the mountains with my friends, we went from Rishikesh, Hardwar to Badrinath, climbing the mountain. Sometimes one person wants to give up. Says, I can't take another step. But another person who's got their wind and they said, oh, we're so close to the next chatti, or the next stop. Don't stop now, come on with me. On the basis of their encouragement, enthusiasm, they say, all right, I'll go a little bit further. Then going a little bit further, oh, I'm getting my second wind, I feel some strength coming back. The other person, good, because now I'm feeling discouraged. So that's why we need association. Someone's feeling despondent. Look, Veda Vyas is going, Prabhu, I'm depressed. Narada is saying, I'll tell you why. First, give me some Saraswati jal. Narada is a great instigator, facilitator. Where would we be without Narad Muni? And Prabhupada says beautifully in one of his purports, he says, what did he say? Something like, very kindly or very mercifully, Narada has appeared in this chapter. And when he gave his program in New York at this one place, and the devotees were embarrassed because hardly anyone showed up. It was a big public event and no one came. And so they're apologizing. Oh, we're sorry, Srila Prabhupada, that nobody came. And Prabhupada was saying, what do you say? Narada was there, so many rishis. You know. Tatra tishtami Narada yatra gayanti madbhakta. Where my devotees are singing my glories, I'm there. The Lord's there with all his paraphernalia, associates. Anartha nivritti nishta. Then ruchi, some taste. And Guru Maharaj is saying, what is it a taste for? What in the beginning was being painfully executed. Tapasya means to voluntarily inconvenience yourself for the sake of spiritual realization. But now some taste has come for those very things that someone was performing previously out of a sense of following the order of the Guru or obligation, spiritual obligations. Now they have a taste. They like hearing about Krishna. They like hearing about Mahaprabhu. Ruchi. Then ashakti. How much do they like it? You can't take it away from them. Now they're attached to it, the way that someone becomes attached to anything. They're attached now to this. Right? When someone says, oh, I have no taste for hearing the Bhagavatam, the Gita, this, that, the other thing. Guru Maharaj said, then stop hearing the Bhagavatam. The person said, no, I don't want to do that. He said, oh, then you do have some appreciation. Ashakti. Then bhav. What does that mean here, this bhav? That the seed, the bhakti lata bij, sprouted, it blossomed, now it's produced a flower. That flower has a fragrance. It means the devotion of that particular servitor has a fragrance that Krishna finds as charming as a sweet-smelling flower. He wants to inhale that more and more. It's giving some joy to Krishna. The sort of devotional sentiments that are manifesting in their heart. And when that intensifies, then expresses as prem, Krishna prem. Then what is it? Sneho man, pranay, rag, anurag, bhav, mahabhav. But still, this is so valuable. And you say, well, what if someone, they only had a brush with this for a brief time? Still, it's the best thing. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Krishna says, even a small connection with this will trayate mahato bhayat. Mahabhai will save you from the greatest fear, which can be interpreted variously. In one place, Prabhupada says, rescinding into animal species. But Guru Maharaj said in another place, for a devotee, the greatest fear is that their service is not being accepted. It's very different. That's the fear of a devotee. Narayana parak sarve nakutasthana bibyati svarg apavarg narakeshu tulyartha darshina. Chitraketu said, the only thing I'm afraid of is not having any seva. Doesn't matter where I'm in heaven or hell, I want a service connection. That's what's important to a devotee. So, when Srila Gurudev came out of the hospital in SoCal after his operation, and he thought he might leave the world, and he came back in a very, devastated physical condition, and it was also, depressing to him. But someone came forward for Harinam, and he began to smile. In the midst of all this pain and suffering and misery, he began to smile, and he said, oh, He said, they're still accepting service from me. They want more service from me. That's how he interpreted it. That made him happy. That canceled all the misery of the body, mind, etc. So once one devotee went as a representative of the Mat to another Matan mission, for, like on the, say, appearance day of Saraswati Thakur or something like that. And while there, he felt as though he'd been abused by others. And when he came back, that news came to Srila Guru Maharaj. And Guru Maharaj's interpretation was interesting. He said, this is the most noble fight of all the wars, of all the battles. This is the most noble fight ever conceived of all time. People, they're ready to give their lives for freedom, for independence, but this mukti, swarupena vivastiti, this is the ultimate fight, the ultimate struggle, the ultimate battle. So Guru Maharaj said, do you like to come away unscathed? He said, if you don't have a scar or something, we may wonder, did you actually participate in the battle, in the war? I remember as a child hearing from older men who had fought in World War II, or what Russians called the Great Patriotic War. And sometimes they'd lift up their shirt and they'd show you a scar, and we're like, wow. But if someone didn't have any scars, we're like, what were you doing? So Guru Maharaj was saying, for this cause, we should be willing to take some abuse. He was abused himself in Gaudiya Math, listening so acutely that one man thought, nobody pays that close attention. He thought maybe he's a government spy come to spy on us to see whether or not we're truly a religious organization, if we have some hidden political agenda. So the next time Guru Maharaj came to Saraswati Thakur's lecture, he hadn't joined yet. The man told him, I'm sorry, you won't be allowed. Think of that. The Rupa Nugadara is being told by some other devotee, you won't be allowed to go to the lecture. So Guru Maharaj went for a walk on the bank of the Ganga. You should remember the Ganga is also in Calcutta. And he thought, this is intolerable, but I can't deny that what I've come for, Saraswati Thakur has. And what I've come for is the connection with the ultimate reality, the ultimate substance. So in deference to that, I'm willing to tolerate any type of abuse to maintain my connection. So that's the position of a higher devotee. He's prepared to tolerate anything to maintain his connection with. That's one meaning of man shunyata, the 10 symptoms of bhava bhakti, the absence of ego. You can't insult such a person because they have no interest in maintaining a reputation or name and fame in this world. They're only interested in actual spiritual substance, and mundane insults have no effect upon that. So man shunyata means they have the absence of ego assertion and abhiman, becoming indignant on their own behalf. So many things are there, but we will still conclude the way that what Narada has told Vyas, and what is the line of Srila Saraswati Thakur and his followers, and what Krishna reiterates in Bhagavad Gita, that swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a slight connection with this is ultimately beneficial for one. Shreyas and prayas. What's prayas? What's immediately beneficial? Shreyas, what's ultimately beneficial? My Sukadev praises Parikshit. Well, your question, Varyan Eshate Praja. People ask, they talk about all kinds of things, but your question is the right question because it deals with what's relevant for everyone and what's ultimately beneficial for everyone. You can compare it to education, as Guru Maharaj once did. By pursuing education, there's no guarantee that you'll become Einstein, but that's not an argument against education. Still, you'll become educated as far as possible, and you'll benefit from that. Same thing with spiritual education. Hare Krishna.